Studio 31.
Live, local, experienced. This is 13 News at 9, Kansas News Leader.
And a good Monday evening once again. Welcome along for 13 News at 9 here on MeTV. I'm David Oliver. Glad you could be with us tonight. We've got your news headlines coming up. Certainly a nice mild start back to work and school today. For the latest on our forecast tonight, here's Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Goodwin.
Hi, Dave. We had temperatures in the upper 60s, even a few spots touching 70 this afternoon. Tomorrow's cooler with a high near 60, but that's still above average at this time of the year, the last day of February, of course, tomorrow. Outside now from the Cyrus Hotel in downtown Topeka, it's a clear sky, 52 degrees, and the humidity is low. Temperature 44 in Hiawatha, now 50 degrees in Emporia, and there's no chance of any rain tonight at all. Low temperature near freezing, mostly clear skies. Tomorrow will be in the low to mid 60s, an east to northeast wind early, shifting around to the southeast late in the day, highs in the low 60s. We could see some rain on Thursday and possibly snow Thursday night. Your first alert 8-day forecast is coming up.
Jeremy, thanks. And topping our news at 9 tonight, 13 News has learned that 2 of the 3 female officers who filed that federal lawsuit against the city of Topeka and Police Chief Brian Wheelis, well, they have now been promoted. 13's Victoria Cassell live at our newsroom tonight with the new details.
David, that's right. Jana Hardin and Jennifer Cross were promoted to 2 upper-level management positions, Hardin to the rank of major and Cross to captain's rank. Hardin, Cross, and Colleen Stewart filed a discrimination suit against the city and Chief Wheelis in U.S. District Court back on January 18th, allegedly claiming they were passed over for promotions despite having higher education and experience than the men who were promoted. 13 News learned Hardin's position is in the Executive Bureau and the Department, and Cross's is in the Field Operations Bureau. City spokesperson Gretchen Spiker said the promotions, which take effect April 1st, had nothing to do with the federal lawsuit. Court records indicate a scheduling conference on the federal lawsuit is set for April 5th. David?
We'll follow it up and see where it goes. Victoria with the update. Thanks. Both statewide political conferences in Kansas will move forward now with new leadership. The Kansas Democratic Party has elected Jenna Repass as its new chairwoman. Repass beat out former state treasurer and Lieutenant Governor Lynn Rogers for that position, garnering endorsements from Governor Kelly, both minority leaders in the state legislature, and Kansas's lone Democratic member of the federal delegation. On the other side of the aisle, Mike Brown was elected to lead the Kansas Republican Party. Brown won that vote at the Kansas GOP convention 2 weeks ago. State broadband officials are now traveling Kansas to assess internet needs across the Sunflower State. Governor Laura Kelly established the Kansas Broadband Development Office in late 2020 with the goal of bringing reliable and affordable high-speed broadband internet access to every Kansas home and business. The office's director visited Midday in Kansas today to talk more about what they hope to accomplish in an upcoming road show.
We're doing this is because we're putting together a 5-year strategic digital equity and broadband access plan in anticipation of hundreds of millions of dollars that'll come to the state from our federal agency partners to bring broadband to underserved communities.
The upcoming road show will stop in more than 30 Kansas counties. U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg cut the ribbon on Kansas City's new airport terminal today. The new terminal over at Kansas City International opens tomorrow. Buttigieg joined Kansas and Missouri leaders today to cut the ribbon, applauding the effort to complete what he called a major achievement in U.S. transportation.
World where a city like Kansas City needs to compete with minor cities of 5 million or 10 million people in China that most of us never even heard of. The competitor is not who's over the river. It's a little bigger than that. And that bi-state, bipartisan approach that you have embraced serves your states well, your communities well, and frankly makes it easier for us in the Department of Transportation to work with you.
Pete Buttigieg was also scheduled to visit the future site of the Panasonic EV battery plant in DeSoto during his trip to Kansas today. U.S. Marine Corps veteran James Friel of Topeka is a Purple Heart recipient for his service during World War II. He also served as our city's police chief back in the 1970s. 13's Thomas Schmidt was with Mr. Friel today when he received another honor for his war service and for a milestone birthday.
On February 21st, the city of Topeka honored former police chief James Friel for his 100th birthday. And today the recognition keeps on coming.
Each year honors a Purple Heart recipient from each of the 50 states to represent their state. And this year, from all the nominations from the state of Kansas, you've been selected.
Friel turned 100 years old Monday and was chosen to represent Kansas in the 2023 Purple Heart Patriot Project mission in New York in September.
Honored, of course. I'm either one of the more fortunate or the less fortunate. And the people I'm associated with, the people, my relatives and neighbors and friends, I'm just glad I'm one of those that get to stay a while.
James Friel enlisted in the Marines, and in February of 1945, he was among the first Marines to invade Iwo Jima with the 5th Marine Division. During the invasion, Friel was struck in the back of the neck by a piece of shrapnel from a mortar shell.
It was kind of like a bee sting, and I reached up here where it was stung and pulled my hand away, and it was full of blood, so I reached back here to see if my head was still there. And it was.
Jim was sent to the medical ship, though, for further treatment, where he saw what is now one of the most iconic photographs ever taken.
Sat there in the hospital ship 4 days until they raised the flag. Before they left, I saw the flag go up. Of course, you wonder what you didn't know any of the details of it. It was the most photographed picture, except that girl getting kissed by the sailor in San Francisco at the end of the war.
Retired Army Colonel Russell Vernon is the executive director of the National Purple Heart Honor Mission and says Friel fit the bill.
We just don't look at the military service. It's the service since you've been back from combat. But boy, he served his state, his city, his community ever since he came back. And he continues to serve veterans today.
Even though he's 100, you can probably count on that Mr. Friel will make it to New York.
I'm 100 years old today. I'll try to hang on that long.
It's a piece of cake for a Marine.
What an amazing life and a legacy of service to our country. We thank him for that. The National Purple Heart Honor Mission is a largely grassroots organization and covers the full cost for the veterans being honored. Donations can be made through their website at purpleheartmission.org. The president and CEO of a hospice network based in Hiawatha has been arrested on alleged sex and drug crimes. According to the Brown County Jail roster, 48-year-old Jeremy Stover of Hiawatha was arrested just after 10:30 last night. Stover was booked into the Brown County Jail on charges of promoting the sale of sexual relations, sexual battery, and possession of opiates. Stover is listed as the president and CEO of Freedom Hospice, which says it's a company, quote, locally owned and operated by a cancer survivor and a retired Army medic veteran. Both the Brown County Sheriff's Office and Freedom Hospice did not return our calls for comment today. Stover remains behind bars with no bond listed. Those are some of the headlines we are covering on this busy Monday in the news across Northeast Kansas. After this quick break, Jeremy's back to talk about the forecast and maybe a little snow chance later this week as we start March. Stay here.
This is First Alert Weather.
All right, looking outside, it's a calm night. That's the live view from the TCT Broadband Council Grove. Camera right now, no rain in the area. There's a live look from the Emporia cam provided by ValueNet Fiber in Emporia, looking to the southeast across the Lyon County Fairgrounds on this calm evening. Cyrus Hotel view along Kansas Avenue in downtown Topeka. The temperature currently 52 degrees. The winds are not as strong as were earlier today. North-northwest at 9 miles per hour. We had gusts in excess of 30 miles per hour earlier today, and of course winds were strong enough to knock down some trees late last night around midnight in Topeka. And we saw some wind damage in parts of Atchison and Jefferson County as well, and some power outages lasting late into the day in parts of Wabunsee County. 45 degrees in Clay Center, now 41 in Marysville. Emporia has 50. Burlington is 47 degrees. And let's check out the radar. We'll zoom out and you'll see the snow from Toronto to New York at this time. No precipitation around here, but last night we did see measurable rainfall. A lot of it, as a matter of fact, 1.6 inches in Topeka, about 0.8. In the Eskridge area, Council Grove about just over a ½ inch. Emporia with close to 1 inch of rain last night. And again, the storm system has moved well out of here, heading toward the northeast part of the nation. Around close to home now, no rain in northeast Kansas, and will be dry through the remainder of tonight and tomorrow and Wednesday too. We will see a chance of some rain by Thursday and possibly even some snow by Friday morning. No accumulation on that, but there's a chance of seeing at least some snowflakes moving in as we get into that part of the work week. So tonight, the storm system is gone. The humidity is low. We'll see temperatures on the chilly side tonight, but not abnormal for this time of the year. With a low of 32 in Topeka, a mostly clear sky. It will be a cool night, and tomorrow temperatures are going to be comfortable again, a bit above average, topping out at 64 degrees in the capital city. The winds out of the east-southeast, it's 15 to 25 miles per hour for some of the gusts, and this will be slightly above normal for the last day of February. A bit cooler on the Nebraska state line in the upper 50s. Emporia, Burlington may chase 70 in the afternoon, but certainly another beautiful day and no rain chance there. Wednesday, high temperatures in the mid-50s. Notice the winds changing direction, coming in from the north, bringing the temperature down significantly for all of us, and the chance of rain will move in on Thursday. So Wednesday's dry. Here's Thursday. Rain moving in late morning into the afternoon. This could be a quarter to ½ inch. That's snow in western Kansas. Areas that were dealing with tornadoes yesterday. We'll be looking at snow accumulation possible on Thursday evening. By Friday morning, the snow chances move out of here. A dusting at most around our area, and then temperatures will be a little warmer and dry for the weekend, with the highs on a Saturday around 50 degrees, and on Sunday we'll be chasing 60. Early next week, about a week from right now, high temperatures go back to the low 60s with a few clouds, but no rain expected to begin next week. We'll be right back.
You're watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
The U.S. has now began delivery of more than $10 billion in economic support for Ukraine, but President Biden is saying he's still not ready to deliver fighter jets to the country. Nicole D'Antonio has more details tonight from Capitol Hill.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is the latest Biden administration official to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
As we mark 1 year since the beginning of this full-scale invasion, the message I bring you from President Biden is simple. America will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes.
The secretary announced the U.S. has begun delivery of an additional $10 billion in economic assistance for the war-torn country.
Just as security assistance bolsters the front lines, I believe that this economic assistance is fortifying the home front, thereby strengthening Ukraine's resistance.
But in addition to the economic support, President Zelensky wants the U.S. to provide his country with F-16 fighter jets, something the Biden administration is not prepared to do at this time.
We need to put everything we have into there. I know the administration says as long as it takes. I think with the right weapons, it shouldn't take so long.
Meanwhile, the U.S. is warning China not to provide its weapons to Russia, something Beijing is said to be considering.
We have been exceedingly clear that we want to see China be on the right side here, which is not support Mr. Putin in any way.
China insists it wants a peaceful solution to the war and calls the U.S. hypocrites because of the billions in military assistance it has already provided to Ukraine. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
President Biden has warned China will issue economic sanctions against any country providing military assistance to Russia. The theory that the COVID-19 outbreak began with a laboratory leak in China is back in the news once again. Two sources familiar with the U.S. government's COVID-19 origins investigation have told CBS News there is new classified reporting from the Energy Department that supports the lab leak theory. The sources confirm the Energy Department is making the assessment with low confidence in the finding, but an earlier analysis from the department also pointed to an accidental lab leak in Wuhan, China. Across U.S. intelligence, there is no consensus about how the pandemic started. Today, China's foreign ministry spokeswoman responded to the news saying the relevant party should stop vilifying China. This all comes as House Republicans are now beginning their own investigation into the origins of COVID. The defense team for South Carolina lawyer Alex Murdaugh is moving closer to resting its case in his double murder trial. The judge in the Alex Murdaugh double murder case granted the defense's request to let the jury visit the South Carolina home where the disgraced lawyer's wife and son were killed. Today, the defense called multiple witnesses, including a crime scene reconstruction expert who cast some doubt on the prosecution's case. It's not clear when the jurors will visit the home, but it will be before they begin deliberations. A deadly shipwreck at sea near the tip of Italy killed more than 60 children and adults. The wooden boat carrying up to 200 migrants from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Iran broke apart Sunday after setting out from Turkey last week. It's believed the boat was being operated by traffickers. Around 105,000 migrants came to Italy in 2022. That's roughly 38,000 more than the year before. Italy has long complained that fellow European Union countries have avoided taking in migrants, many who are aiming to find family or work in Northern Europe. We have more news on the way here at 9 after this break.
You're watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
A pilot program in Great Britain testing a 4-day work week was so successful that 91% of the companies involved said they wanted to make it permanent. Scott McFarland shows us tonight how lawmakers in the USA are pushing our companies here at home to also maybe give it a try.
One fewer day each week of the alarm clock and the morning commute. John Burns says once his software company in Baltimore instituted a 32-hour work week, the productivity of his 37 employees increased, and so did profits.
We've asked the employees to ruthlessly look at their work, get rid of extraneous meetings, extraneous phone calls, paperwork, things of this nature, and reduce down the amount of wasted work.
The COVID stay-at-home orders gave millions of workers their first taste of flexible work arrangements, and some employers discovered less can be more. A CBS News review finds at least a half dozen states to varying degrees are now considering legislation to make 4-day work weeks more common, including Maryland, where new legislation would offer companies that institute shorter work weeks a tax break. Maryland Delegate Vaughn Stewart is one of the bill's sponsors.
We're thinking that with more hours of rest, workers are going to be able to function better.
Employees in 4-day-a-week studies have reported less stress and less burnout and better physical health. New legislation in New York, California, and in the U.S. Congress would require companies that work employees more than 32 hours a week to pay overtime. Similar proposals have failed in the past. California's Chamber of Commerce called it a job killer not suited for all employers. Even supporters of the 4-day work week acknowledge it's not for everyone.
Absolutely. We don't think this is something that every single industry and every single business can do. But that's what we want to study.
Supporters of that Maryland legislation argue it should include a broad range of workers, white collars, blue collars, to include the entire spectrum of the workforce to make it more effective. Scott McFarland, CBS News, Washington.
Well, no matter what happens, you can always count on 13 News 7 days a week. We'll have a final word here at 9 after this quick break.
This is First Alert Weather.
Temperatures tonight will drop into the lower 30s, about average for an overnight low for this time of the year. Tomorrow afternoon, we go to the mid-60s, slightly cooler than today, but still warm for the end of February. March begins on Wednesday, still dry and a bit cooler in the mid-50s. We have a chance of seeing rain, especially later in the day on Thursday. Possible change some snow on Thursday night. Minor accumulation of a dusting, probably at the most, and a dry weekend with highs in the 50s. David?
Jeremy, thanks. Hope you'll join me coming up in 30 minutes for 13 News at 10. We have our weekly Salute Our Heroes report. We're going to be profiling a woman who's using her great cooking skills to help feed hundreds of people in need. An inspiring story you don't want to miss on our broadcast at 10. Thanks. That's our report at 9. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'll see you in 30 minutes.
Get the latest news, weather, and sports at WIBW.com or follow WIBW on Twitter, Facebook, and our mobile app. Thank you for making 13 News the most watched evening newscast.